Alright, so I got these big rounds of firewood I need to cut. And our chainsaw has been just a little neglected. We pretty much destroyed the chain. Not destroyed it, but dulled it up pretty good cutting the oak. And I went ahead and I bought a little filing kit for this thing. Not necessarily a Stihl brand, but here the color matches. Filed it up. I got the right file on it, and I got these nice and sharp now. And I did the same thing with my pruner, which is dangerously hanging. And an easy way to mark when you've been at, if you can't tell where you've sharpened. I just put a little dot on there so I can keep track of where I've been. And this thing, I'm just checking stuff, I'm just making sure it's all good. This is the air filter. This is kind of a cool little design. I don't know what it looked like when it was new, but I think we've hardly used it. But what I like about this thing is that it has this little plate here, and basically what it is it allows hot air from the cylinder head to warm up the carburetor, or keep it warm, during a cold weather operation. And it's still pretty cold out. It's about 50 degrees out, so I'm going to run it without this and see how she does. But when it's hot and sunny out, it looks like you pop that in there, but I think you can just leave that in there. I'm not entirely sure. I don't want to lose it. Yeah, I'll just leave it like that, I guess. Or no, I'll just pop it out altogether. So we'll need to remember to put that back in there. And I need to adjust the idle speed on it. It's not quite adjusted yet, so it tends to shut off while it's idling. So that's just a simple, turn this. It's the LA is your idle, and you got your high and low mixture. Yeah. I got that on video. He just hopped over that wood. Look at him. Look at him. He's freaking all excited. And so anyways, I'm just kind of dicking around with this. I'm going to put this filter back on here somehow, and then we didn't necessarily do a break-in on this, but well, yeah, first few uses were a break-in. Sorry for my. Never mind. Anyways, we used the Stihl pre-mixed stuff, but now I'm using my own mix because I have a lot to burn through. This is your fuel. We've already got a mix, 50-to-1 of gas to oil. We're almost out of this. We're going to steal from the weed whacker probably. Hard! Oh my god! And our oil is over here. We're not necessarily low, but I'm going to keep it topped off because I don't want to burn my chain out. Make a huge mess. That's good enough. I'll get a towel, I'll wipe that up. just about time for some coffee. Can't really pack it together. Alright, I just had a little half-an-hour break, watched some YouTubes. I've got this big guy here, which I think I might have to roll up on some blocks and just cut it down to a more reasonable size. It's still a bit too much for me to lift. But I'm gonna go stack these up, these little blocks. Give this guy a little break. Look at all the freaking sawdust. Mounds of it, buckets of it. I think the rest I'm just gonna throw in a little bit in there, and then the rest I'm put in the yard debris, because that bucket over there will be my third one for sawdust. That's good enough. We got plenty for starting fires. But I really like our new chainsaw. When you do get them, I do recommend you adjust the idle speed on it. Otherwise it'll stall out when you go to idle it, and it gets kind of annoying and makes you think it's a terrible chainsaw, but it's not. It's a really good chainsaw. It makes a lot of this one here makes almost 4 horsepower. I think it's 3.81 horsepower, and boy, does it ever make horsepower. Pretty thirsty, but you know what, you're always running high RPM. It's going to use a lot of fuel, so make sure you have plenty of gas. You know, I've almost blown through this whole can. This was right full when I started. And make sure it's got plenty of oil in it for the bar and chain stuff. We're using the Stihl. This stuff is expensive, but it's a whole gallon. It's the special lubricant. I'm okay using that. That's a really decent deal for that much of oil. But as for the Stihl premixed fuel, it's like $10 a bottle. And you know, as thirsty as that chainsaw is, I just used regular fuel. They do make additives that counteract the effects of the ethanol, which makes the engine run a little bit hotter. I need to go actually pick up a bottle of that stuff and kind of mix it in there. Yeah, it's a good little chainsaw, the MS291. We're pretty happy with it. You know, we we had to get it because you know, we do get a lot of firewood and we need to be able to cut stuff up, and having that chainsaw with a 20-inch bar is very useful. Alright, I just finished up. I had to use my truck to push that freaking round. It's just, I can't. I'm so worn out now. I could hardly move it myself. So I just put the truck right in this way and pushed it over and moved it like it wasn't even there. You know, it only is like, you know, a couple 100 pounds. Actually, I think it's more than that. I think it's more like 300 because it took like 3 people to move it into the bed of my truck. I was like, ugh. So I'm gonna take a freaking shower and clean up, and I'm like got shit stuff in my eyes, and like, I'm done. So, bye.